frontier, we see that there are some countries that don't necessarily want to go all the way through. And this might be the wiser choice because they want to maintain some of their benefits. Our stance is that, relatively speaking, the simpler modifications to the European right now might benefit the countries more than having to go all the way through and make a super state, which is the danger of that is losing individual sovereignty, the danger of that is losing culture, and the danger of that is you might not necessarily solve the economic problems that arise. I see two main clashes that, that have arisen from this debate. The first being that which is better for the people in terms of sovereignty and maintaining their culture, and the second is which is better for them economically. And I will try to prove to you that extending the European Union is a much better choice. So on the first clash, which is better for their sovereignty, the government has come up and said that somehow the superstate will eliminate political interest, but we see that this is not the case. They said that Germany has has greater influence. They're able to They're able to impose their will upon the rest of the European Union. But we say that under a superstate, this ability to impose your interest on other states will just become covert, because now you're a superstate. Now you have greater influence. This is why this will happen, because they're already a strong and powerful country. Yes.
Don't you think right now Germany is trampling on the sovereignty of Greece somehow?
And that's why when we extend our model to include the referendum, people will have, all the EU will have the right to vote on what they see fit. The way the EU works right now is that the EU Parliament provides a check and balance on the EU Council, which therefore provides a check and balance on the whole system. We see that this is a legitimate system because it's based on the treaty that everyone agreed on. This is a system of consensus. By adding in the mechanism of a referendum, we see that people can veto certain decisions by Germany or by France, yes, to eliminate the problem of having the greater countries influencing the smaller countries. And somehow they claim that the superstate will not destroy the culture, but we see that in America, most of their cultures from the different states has already been merged into one, while the European Union, who has a very rich and very diverse culture, Europe is very, very different from Italy. Italy is diversely different from the UK, and if they merge into one, this diversity will be somehow mingled into, will somehow just be eliminated, yes.
So do you have any problems with representative democracy that we have in the US instead of the use of referendums to make decisions?
There's no problem with that, but we don't see it as a solution to the issue in the EU. And I'll answer your question directly in the second clash that I have. So the people are in danger here because under the superstate, although they say that federal, and then they're going to have a federal system, a state system which will give them laws and stuff like that, we still see that they're operating under one federal government. That means France and their healthcare system, the right for their people to be happy and retire when they want to retire will be eliminated. Italy has a different retirement rate. France charges a different tax rate. All of this will be standardized throughout the EU, which is a problem because the people will not be happy. France raised its retirement age by 1 year, and all of the people found it conflicting to them. They found it unfair. If you do this, you see a large systemic risk to the whole European. Systemic risk is a risk to the structure. A systemic risk to the whole European Union. When you impose this type of system onto the country, which are diversely or deeply diversified. So now let's look at their model of economics and how it solves the economic crisis, and let's look at ours. We claim that theirs doesn't necessarily solve the economic problem because maybe the government has some sort of short-term memory, but recently we just faced the largest global financial crisis caused by the US, who has political control over their system. And we see that even if we don't integrate Greece with their financial crisis, their damage is only done to their country. That means the damage is controlled in their region. while the US is damaged, we saw it everywhere, from China slowing down its growth, India slowing down its growth, from the Europe, some companies going bankrupt, and many people around the world suffered job losses. If the European Union became such a large superstate, if both of the people suffered some sort of economic crisis, you can forget about progress for 10 years. So, and there's some sort of confusion about how the system works under the government's case, because they said that, you know, a monetary union isn't enough. This is what we're proposing. We're proposing a monetary union only, because my first speaker said that there's an ECB, European Central Bank, which gives out loans and bonds and stuff already, which is adequate enough. And in 2013, they'll have a regulatory entity that acts like the Federal Reserve in America. But in America, they think that somehow the government controls a money system, which isn't true. The monetary authorities and the fiscal authorities are two different entities. They don't have the control, only influence to negotiate with each other. And we see that even with this ability to negotiate, the financial crisis still has come. Why? Because of the lack of vigilance from the monetary authority. And we say that a monetary union alone plus vigilance is enough. There is no need for a superstate that violates the individual sovereignty of the states, that violates. And it's very important for EU to maintain this sovereignty, because they have deeply diversified cultures, unlike the United States. So we don't see how their model solves the problem, but we've already proposed how ours might counter the current dangers of the economic crisis. Also, we don't deal with this one clash that they made, which is about how this superstate will somehow influence the neighboring countries to become more democratic. If there isn't enough examples in the world already about how democracy works, they think that somehow a closer, more neighborly example will somehow solve the problem, make people in Arab change their 100 years of history and convert their religion, culture, economic beliefs. So this is the case we proudly propose. We say that an extension is necessary, and a superstate isn't. Thank you.